Hey everyone, welcome back. We've got more of the North American LCS coming up, continuing with Gravity versus NME Esports. Now, NME Esports auto-qualified for the LCS after winning first place from the Challenger Series Spring Split. So this is the first time that we're going to see them in a televised match against an LCS team.
True enough, and it is a team, but there's just a really familiar face on it as well. It's a whole bunch of team of new guys, and then Inox. He's coming back. He's in the LCS. He's changing lanes, though. He's going over to the mid lane, and honestly, he's had a lot more success in the mid lane. It's been a very positive move that's given Inox a lot more confidence himself. He stepped up. He's a big voice on the team now. He's a huge leader for them, and he looks way happier as well.
Yeah, I mean, he's even willing to give interviews and stuff. The guy's had a complete transformation since he was EG's top laner a few years back. Now, on the flip side, Gravity actually lost a lot of their veteran experience. During the break, jungler St. Vicious and AD carry Cop both stepped down from active play, with Cop actually taking in a coaching role with Gravity. But taking over in that bot lane is going to be Altec, who was previously with Winterfox last split. And the jungle is Move, a Korean jungler who was with the Edward Gaming organization on their Challenger team.
Yeah, I mean, losing St. Vicious. Love him or hate him, St. Vicious was a very vocal person. So Gravity are losing that very strong shot-calling central voice. And now they are also grooming Bunny Fufu to be the new shot caller for the squad. So in addition to adapting to that new AD carry to lane with, Bunny is also taking on the responsibility of leadership and shot calling for the squad. So he's got a whole bunch of new stuff that he's got to deal with.
Yep, so a lot of growth required now for Gravity and a lot of learning for these guys as they mature into their new roles and new teams for some of these players. Right now we're going to check out the starting lineups, though, and on the blue side is Gravity. Haunter in the top lane, Move in the jungle, Keen in mid, Altec on AD carry, and Bunny Fufu on support.
And on the red side, it's NME Esports. Up top is Flares in the jungle, Trashy, mid Inox, AD carry Otter, and support Body Drop.
So this is going to be a game to watch for sure. The first test for both these teams, and it's going to be an interesting test because, of course, we haven't seen how NME fare against any of these LCS teams. We don't know how good new Gravity is as well.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about how it's a lot of new guys to the scene here. Flares, though, he actually got to sub into the LCS a little bit.
It's true.
In the top lane. He's also ranked #1 right now on solo queue for whatever that's worth.
Yeah, he's been there for the last 6 months.
Yeah,
he's been all
him
about
and Double Lift are going 1-2 right now, one game apart. But yeah, he's a very strong top laner, and we'll see what NME can do here because Trashy, their jungler, also a lot of hype behind him coming from the Challenger circuit, just pretty much because he's Danish.
Yeah, well, I mean, when we see players like Svenskeren and Santorin and Bjergsen and Incarnation, we realize that Denmark has a lot of really good players out there. So Trashy, I actually got to talk to him when he was in the Challenger Finals, actually, I guess a few weeks ago or whatever. And I asked him about all these other Danish junglers around him. He's like, yeah, me and Svenskeren and Santorin, we were all kind of just orbiting around each other as we were all these sort of aggressive junglers that all wanted to take over games.
Yeah.
And then just based on which team we went on, we had to take on different roles. So he's like, Santorin became a supportive jungler because he had Bjergsen on his team, and Santorin kept trying to carry everyone. I kind of went back and forth because he's like, I want to support Inox a whole bunch. I think he's really good, and Flares wants to carry all the time as well. So Trashy, actually, I remember also, just to continue on with him, he was in the European Challenger circuit back in 2014, and he was on an old team, Reason Gaming, and he was the only good player on the team, and he would hard carry games on Wukong and Nocturne, and I was like, oh my god, this guy's so good. He's just held down by his teammates, and he get on better and better teams. He played on the team that eventually became H2K, but Lulix replaced him, and now he's on NME Esports, and he has been a very explosive, very dominating, at least for the Challenger Series jungler, and now him on the professional stage. Again, players with similar skill to him, like Santorin, I expect good things from Trashy here.
Interesting, very interesting. I'm excited to see how he performs against Move here because coming from EDG, they just won MSI, a very prestigious team. He was on the sort of sub squad, and he is Korean, and they all had of course all of their foreign player spots built on their made team, but he did get to play a bit in the second tier. Now he is a guy that is very hard to find any extra information on besides solo queue because of that fact, and because it's really hard to get any information on their scrim results and stuff like that. I was talking to Cop, who is now, as you can see behind him, the coach of the team, who's going to be handling picks and bans. I was like, give me some more information on Move. Why'd you guys even pick this up? How'd the tryouts go? And he's like, well, he's good at League of Legends, so that's why we picked him up. All right, that's a good reason.
Yeah, good.
So-
and
That's what we got for him. That's why he was picked up.
it just sounds like
Cop has a lot of faith in him.
great. Well, that's good.
As far as the picks and bans go, though, let's start it out in the top lane. Wow, Aurelia already targeting Flares here.
Yeah, Flares is one of these newfangled carry top laners. Seems to be very popular now in 2015, and yeah, his Hecarim, his Aurelia, he's just a very aggro player, and he goes sometimes a bit too hard. You'll see Flares overextend pretty frequently, even in the Challenger Series. So up against Hanser and Move. Going to see how that goes for him. LeBlanc gone from Inox. His next two probably Nidalee, Kassadin, maybe Kog'Maw in there as well, as things that Inox tends to carry on. I don't know if they can really remove his champion pool too well.
Yeah, the early adapter of Kassadin, long range Kog'Maw, AP mid. He's got a...
His Katarina was great too.
He's got a very diverse champion pool. The one thing that's really common with most of the champions is that they can carry really hard. Katarina can go off really hard. Kog'Maw, once you get to the late game, a huge carry potential there. So Inox likes to have mid laners that have a lot of power. He's not really a supportive mid laner player.
No. It's going to be all carrying all the time. Even when Inox was a top laner, he wanted to carry as well. So just found a lane that suits the style better. All right, so 2 jungle bans and the Alistar away from Bunny Fufu. Gravity now to make their first pick on this one. You can see they banned sort of 1 per role down the main carry slots. Taking their time, Coach Cop to tell Gravity what they want for first pick here. That's, I'm going to say, more an homage than a real pick, but you never know.
Yeah, as we've seen, Yasuo strong into Gnar, at least. Especially if you get an experience advantage, but a little bit too early to tell for that. Alistar on the ban list does mean that there's possibility of a first pick support. Not going to happen this time, but Alistar really making a big waves here.
Yeah.
Both in Europe and in North America from the support role. Not going to be in this game, though.
Yeah, trashy though. I want to see, Sejuani picked up there. A couple of jungle bans come through, and the next one down the list, Sejuani picked up already. Flair's happy to play Rumble right into Hecarim and hide the rest of his roles.
Yeah, what a team fight combo locked in really early, first round here for NME Esports. They've got a huge amount of power for any sort of fight taking place in close quarters. Early Dragon should be, you have to be very careful about grouping up if you are Gravity. So anytime you land that combo, Sejuani plus a Rumble should be a team fight victory. Gravity, though, they do have the Hecarim. See if you can get an early lead and have one of those high-impact teleport plays.
He definitely might have that happen, but meanwhile, Gravity happy to go for high-impact plays as well. And speaking of the Impulse lineup that was running this champion, Fizz coming back again in the mid lane here, so Keen happy to blind pick a big scary assassin. All Tech is here to make that team run fast.
Yep. Another rushdown squad here looks to be from Gravity. I always really love combining Hecarim with Sivir as well. Get the extra damage on top of your speed.
Okay, so rushdown, as you say, for Gravity. Then how good is NME Esports counter-engage? Can they withstand this kind of aggression?
Well, the thing is, if you have a whole bunch of melee champions, it's pretty easy to land a good Sejuani ultimate, and you just layer that Rumble right on top of it.
Absolutely true. We'll see if Inox wants to play something to continue to add AoE damage, or if he's going to be more on the utility side of this one. Azir, I feel like, would work in terms of bullying back all these divers. We'll see. We hear people in the audience yell Bart. That would work too. Kassadin, though, is the pickup here. Kassadin into Fizz. I want to say it's a good Kassadin matchup. Also, Nautilus comes through for body drop, so NME Esports hiding their AD carry pick for last.
I do like playing Kassadin into the Fizz there, not only because of the passive and the magic damage shield that he gets, but being in melee range, Kassadin will just spam out his spells at Fizz, and anytime Fizz gets close, he can tap him with one of those auto attacks to restore a ridiculous amount of his mana and continue the harass. So basically, you just spam out your spells on Fizz, try and keep him low, and tap him every once in a while with the empowered auto.
All right, then maybe a difficult lane matchup for Keen here.
What it does, is draw a lot of jungle attention, though. So, well, maybe not. Nunu and Sejuani, not the most oppressive mid-lane ganking jungles.
Nunu confused me a little bit, actually, in terms of what he's trying to empower. Sivir, not the biggest need of attack speed buffs, and it's not like you're going to rush down people with the Nunu. really. I'm not sure what he's doing exactly. Otherwise, Gravity, still a lot of high-impact players here. Move his first game in the North American LCS, his first game in a professional league, in a Tier 1 league. He's playing Nunu on this one, and Otter gets a Vayne for himself. A bunch of low-range rushdown champions, and he picks something short-range himself.
Ooh, the Vayne into Nunu, interesting. He is going to have a hard time getting around all those slow fields. We'll see if he can use his invisibility to that end, though. Nunu himself probably going to get hit with a decent amount of AoE. His whole point is to try and single-man tank the Sejuani ultimate for the rest of the squad.
That's true. So 2 tanks and 3 damage dealers for the NME Esports lineup. Meanwhile, some tank utility and damage kind of split across the entire Gravity lineup here. The first game of the split and the last of the day for these teams and for us here in the North American LCS. Coach Kopp, Coach Brad for Gravity and NME Esports sending their teams away with their first team comps of the split. New lineup for Gravity, new team NME Esports. Final parting comments as champ select ends. Say goodbye to your teams, shake hands, and here we go.
And since champions are locked in, that will definitely be the Smite Teleport Hecarim. So Smite Teleport takes a bit longer to come online, but you do scale a bit better since you are building Cinderhawk.
Yeah, and of course, really fun late game power, a lot of health and all of that. Now, guys, you've got one more opportunity to prove your precognitive powers. Share your game predictions by tweeting at LOL Esports and use either hashtag GVWin or hashtag NMEWin. We are here in a Game 5. It's going to be a great one. How strong are these teams? As they move into the summer split, let's find out.
I actually really like the NME Esports team comp here. Decent amount of setup CC to try and get an easier Sedge ult with that Nautilus coming from the support role. And Kassadin plus Vayne is just always such a good combo. 2 of the best champions at chasing down stragglers. If there's a big AoE teamfight and your enemies split up, Kassadin and Vayne very good at capitalizing on that.
Well, while Gravity might split up, NME Esports may want to stick together in this one. Inox says the players on NME Esports have a bond that goes beyond being teammates.
When we went into the challenger scene, it really felt like we all came from the same place. Like we were all the same level with each other. No one really had like the impression that they're above anyone. We all just became really good friends, and we were able to bond, go hang out, and do anything. On Enemy, it's more so that we're brothers, more so than friends. Like we're just that close together.
Band of brothers.
Ironic that they're such close friends when their name is called Enemy. It's an easy one. It counts. What?
All right.
What is your reservation here?
Well, as of right now, the friends are all just going to have a safe early start. If the duo lane's going to take this Gromp, probably means that they are expecting a 2 vs 2 matchup, so they have not gotten any early alerts as to the lane swap here from Gravity, so looks like it will probably catch Enemy off guard as Altec and Bunny Fufu head to the top side. Let's see if they group up the wave. If you do start Gromp like this, Enemy, now they actually are removed from the option of freezing the lane because they're just going to meet right now without anybody able to corral them. So the best option in this case is to try and shove it into the turret to try and get it to bounce back so you can regain control and manage those minions. Here goes Bunny Fufu with that patented level 1 invade from the support to try and harass the duo jungle. And it looks like he's done his job fairly well here. Can he get the hard reset is what he's looking for here. You get the... Yeah, he got it. You get... All you're trying to do is get the camp to try and switch targets onto you and then back to the...
Oh!
Wow, he almost got it. Origin point so that you can get that hard reset, delay them a little bit extra. And his work's not done yet. He's going to keep it up. So the reason I really like this strategy is that the 2 biggest playmakers for your team in a lane swap are your jungler and your top laner, and to a lesser extent your support, as we've just seen very early on. So if by just committing your support to that jungle and top lane harass, you take away almost all of Enemy's early game playmaking ability. Have you ever tried to create something in a lane when your jungler and your top laner with the teleport are both behind. It's extremely difficult. It puts all of the weight onto body drop on this Nautilus to make anything happen early game if enemy are actually going to create waves. So that means Kassadin just going to be pretty much on his own, farming up in that mid lane. And we'll see if Gravity can capitalize, because they're sending 3 people down bottom now.
Makes sense. Team like Gravity heading towards the bottom of the map right here. Move, Bunny, Fufu, and Hansler all triple jungling to make sure they can defend this turret in time. They're not going to be cut off like we saw in the CLG game earlier. Otter in a one-on-one, but Hansler is the same level as the guy.
All right.
And more coming in. Forced to flash early, but Move can still flash Snowball or just walk in to do it as well. Nice condemn on a Bunny Fufu. Will keep Otter safe.
And here come the reinforcements. A little bit late, though. So 3 members of NME spending a lot of time walking and not getting much done. Meanwhile, 3 lanes of experience and gold income for Gravity. Every second that the map stays in balance like this is a huge win for Gravity. Because even though the wave is in control of enemy there and they're able to prune it on their side, Gravity's still getting experience income, whereas these small advantages of the jungle camps are barely being scraped together. Cop up on, or not Cop anymore, Altec up on the top side. He's got a free lane to himself. Let's see if anybody finds themselves in the jungle there, though. Looks like they will just pass through. Thresh going to run into the double jungle squad.
Enemy knows about this. Trashy going to clear away maybe another pick, but finds Bunny Fufu, a level 2 Thresh, taking a lot of damage. Ignite popped onto Flares. The hook over the wall is going to catch Trashy. Flares nearly going down. Flashes still drops to Kane. First blood for Gravity. Going to be answered. Back goes to Inox. Now the hook on to Move. Exactly. Altec is not here whatsoever, but the escape comes through. 1-for-1 in kills.
First blood, 1-for-1 trade for Gravity in a 4 versus 5. And Otter had to leave his lane, lost a bunch of minions trying to come help the squad because they were keeping the lane on their own side of the map and building up a big Gravity wave. It killed all of the minions very quickly, rushed into the turret, and will bounce back now. So that fight turned out really well for Gravity. Because as we said, this entire time, Altec on the top side, just freely farming.
He is just freely farming the gold, staying fairly close to the first blood lead. Pretty massive. Move will get himself the top lane scuttler. 80 gold for him. Gravity staying a little bit ahead here. Altec just freely and safely farming in a match that would have been typically pretty rough, Sivir versus Vayne. If the wave can't be pushed, the threat of Vayne killing you is pretty moderately high as time goes on. Flares has yet to lane at all in this game. He's purely been jungling alongside either body drop or Flares, and Gravity making a nice move here. Flares going to get caught out by a hook as he turns the corner. Ice blast. They're just going to run away, actually. Their guys are a little bit afraid, even though Sivir was right around the corner there.
Yeah, they set the trap for a single target, and 2 of them came marching down the road. So, abort mission. They pull it out with no casualties.
Looks like once again we're in a game where only really 2 lanes of farm for one of the teams. Hansler had spent some time farming. He's actually already picked up the machete to make that happen a little bit faster.
Yeah, he's got smite, so
yeah, it's fine.
Farming the jungle, reverting to that is very easy for him. Just waiting for the Vayne wave to push back.
Keen is 6. Inox going to take a whole lot of damage here. Thankfully for him, the Ignite is down already, so Keen couldn't clean the kill up just yet, but that is Inox's flash gone.
And Keen exerting his will. The mid lane on Inox. Inox, though, is going to start scaling. Level 6 here. And is going to, looks like he's going for the Rod build on Kassadin. Pretty standard.
Okay. I've seen a lot of different variations. The last one I remember Inox doing was actually Tear into Luden's Echo. I think. I could be incorrect in that one, but going Rod of Ages here, wanting the durability. All the assassins in Rushdown makes a lot of sense in my opinion.
Oh, wow. Actually, also on that last recall where Gravity decided to swap lanes, both side lanes recalling, they lost a wave on both sides.
Ooh.
So enemy getting a bit closer back into this game, able to shove both top and bottom. But on the return visit, Altec is able to use his boomerang blade and bouncing blade. Get right back.
Alright, so here we are. Lanes matched back up to equal. Teleport up for both these top laners, so if there's any bot lane focus, we can see the TPs come through. BF Sword versus Cutlass and Boots.
So after all of these swaps, the biggest difference is that experience disadvantage that I kept pointing out for Hanser versus Flares. Flares on the Rumble still level 4 because he was doing that double jungling. Whereas Gravity, even though Hanser wasn't able to get a lot of the CS in the lane, was sitting there absorbing experience. So level 6 Hecarim going to easily have the upper hand up in that top side. So that's why they're supporting him with Vision. They've got wards for him, and he definitely has the bully pressure up in the top side over Flares at the moment.
Despite the fact that he has no combat items at all, the hook, nice dodge there by Body Drop. Keeping himself alive. Otter, as you mentioned, XP advantages. Also, he's down about a level under Altec. Altec nearly 8 as Otter hits 7 on this minion. So experience all around the board. Even though the gold is basically the same, XP matters. Now, it is worth putting out that Trashy is 6, whereas Move is not. So something on this other side. And Body Drop 5 to Bunny Fufu's 3. So it's just in different places, I guess, as I look at all the numbers.
Well, let's see if we can pull off a move with the Sejuani level 6. Immediately after hitting level 6, looking for a gank. Not really any opportunity for him.
Yeah, nothing just yet. The level 6 has happened, but nothing really positive afterwards. Move did go Sightstone early. Nice. Spell Shield to block the Condemn. No real trades all that successful just yet on the NME Esports side. They've actually pulled the gold back up in their favor. Looks like Rumble's trading just fine. And Vayne holding pretty nicely. It's just this mid lane that keeps getting worse, it looks like, as Inox continues to survive all these trades very well and push Keen around a 10 minion lead. Not too bad. Sejuani up 10 as well. Cinderhulk done on her. A lot of things just came through for NME Esports here. The Rumble also hitting level 6. So yeah, all these ultis, aside from body drops, are available, but his is going to be one wave away.
Yeah, it looks like they're just going to be content to stick with the farm game because they haven't placed any wards. There are almost no wards on the mat for enemy, just a couple defensive ones for each lane. Very, very close. So any move that they make, any aggressive move, would be fairly blind, and they'd have to account for the presence of Nunu as well. It looks like they're going to venture into the jungle and try and get some more information by getting deep wards down.
Meanwhile, a fight in the top lane, though. The overheated Rumble going to do plenty of damage towards Hans. A couple more auto attacks go through.
Got a lot of potions.
Done trading. Now, Teleport is down for Flares, but up for Hanser, meaning he could abuse the lane or abuse the Dragon attempt. Flash Force from Keen puts the Shark in towards Trashy. And that is actually a fair bit of damage towards the Sejuani, and her board not going to feel great about this one either. Keen, one hit away from dead. Move can try to help with this one. Inox jumps over as best he can. Still does get traded back, but multiple ults used for that one. Buddy Fufu in onto Otter, but how much damage can they really even do? A lot of knockups come through. Buddy was one auto attack from dead. Silverbolts would have, I think, killed him as Ignite was still on. The heal wouldn't have helped enough.
Move on the way down, though. Looks like Otter and Body Drop will back off in time. Not going to be attacked there. So the big, big difference of the teleport actually doesn't benefit Gravity that much. It's still a one-for-one trade, and they had to expend their teleport advantage. So
that's true.
Hanser now going to have to head back to the top squad.
At 1 minute and 25 seconds for the teleport of Flares, and maybe we'll see NME Esports abuse that advantage. If coordination's all good, they should know a big TP advantage. Dodge on the hook from Otter. And we still sit at a 200 gold lead. NME Esports. We asked how good they would be in this summer split as a new team. Gravity, 6th place team from last split. Certainly no slouches in their own right. Although they do have a changed roster, which might slow them down for a bit. NME Esports certainly holding up with an established LCS team.
They are at that. If a dragon fight does break out, it's going to be extremely eventful here because enemy have such a good combo of AoE. Almost feel like Gravity would just continue with a split push and try and trade turret for the early dragon. Early dragon, not that big of a deal. The 6% doesn't multiply that much at this point in the game. True. And the global gold from an outer turret is substantial.
This is risky by Gravity to keep showing up bot lane despite the fact that Flares' TP is just about back up. They've got a very small window left. Nice hook comes in on both sides. Body Drop nearly already dead, but Trashy shows up for the stun. Not enough to kill off Move, though the lantern from Buddy Fufu keeps him safe, and Otter cannot capitalize with the ulti there for himself. Still 3 versus 3 down to the bot lane, though. TP up in like 4 seconds for Rumble. There are no deep wards to teleport.
Whoa, Move!
Whoa, over-aggressive, but a lot of damage. Buttercup cannot be in this fight anymore. This turret still taking damage. Looks like no one is going to be afraid of this Vayne anymore. The turret does get taken down. Well played, Gravity. Good calling all around.
Yep. Gravity going to try and knock down the outer ring of turrets. Now that they get that one down, try and quickly shove the wave and then swing their AD carry and support across the map. If they can move them up top and try and chain the outer turrets, then they can try and take control of this mid-game. Inox now has to wait a little bit longer, still stacking up his Rod of Ages, whereas Fizz here, Keen, has gone for early physical damage for the laning phase by getting the Sheen, allowing him to trade a little bit better with Kassadin.
Yeah.
But, you know, since Inox did get the early first blood as well, got off to a pretty good start.
Yeah, and the CS lead in mid just keeps going Inox's way. It was +10 last we saw, now it's +20, and this partial freeze making it a little bit worse. Gravity take the turret off that, I guess, trade that they won. They got more damage out, and the turret got taken down. They recalled back Infinity Edge at 14 minutes for Altec.
Yeah.
He's going to be a very big force this game. Both Cinderhulks done for Gravity as well.
Well, they back off. Generally, you want to try and punish Kassadin for the early lack of wave clear, especially if you have Sivir, who's taken the outer turret this early. So they do move Sivir over to the mid lane to try and take down the outer turret, but no support means he backs off from the turret, and they back off from the blue buff as well. Enemy able to defend.
All right, good hold then. Enemy Esports down 300 gold for themselves. Gravity, of course, built that lead through the push primarily. Enemy's other advantages simply coming through their mid lane laning phase for the most part. Both junglers now matching items with Sightstone Cinderhulk, so wards going to be plentiful on both rosters. 2 upgraded warding totems also here for Gravity. Another one-on-one. Keen looking for Inox there. The almost completed Lich Bane plus Ignite forcing Inox away. One more Q could maybe get the kill. Inox forced to grab some help, and Hanser, wow! In the top lane, solos flares.
The solo kill. All right, let's see what happens down bottom. Not much of import here. Inox had to burn his flash, so with the solo kill top, pretty much guarantees you the dragon as well. Gravity able to gain advantage on both sides of the map. This was just players overstaying. One level up from Hanser. You know, he had a massive sustain advantage, not only because of Hecarim's kit, but also because of stacking so many potions. Bunny lands the hook.
And goodbye, body drop, lives up to his name. He goes down. TP's coming in for Enemy Esports. All the same. Equalizer is available. Will they take the fight? In comes Otter. Stuns up move. That's going to be 1 kill picked up. Down goes Nunu. But they re-engage from Keen. Flashless, Igniteless, and Ultimateless means this chase is going to be just fine. Enemy Esports pick up 2 on the backside for the death of body drop, but they will take Dragon forward as well.
Oh.
Nicely done.
Really close to the boomerang steal. Yeah, that we did see that slight discrepancy between teleport timers really cost Gravity right there. So even though they got the kill, solo kill up top for Hecarim, Flares is able to teleport on respawn. Gravity just take a little bit too long to take down the objective after the fight, and they're not able to secure first dragon.
All right, well, slight misstep for Gravity puts the game right back to equal here. Nearly identical gold games. Vayne keeps farming on up. She's managed to dodge what can be early late weaknesses of Vayne. Going equal is a happy place to be when you're a Vayne player, and this is where we are right now for the Enemy Esports AD carry. Otter's tried for close to 3 years now to make his way into the LCS. He played in the Season 3 qualifier, the very, very first one. He finally found his way in. So far, actually putting a pretty good performance in his first LCS game.
Yeah, the entire team here so far for Enemy. Pretty strong early start against Gravity as well, who performed really well last split. Albeit with some roster changes this split. Definitely holding their own so far. And remember, Inox Rod of Age is still constantly stacking up, so ramping up that Kassadin ever stronger for those chase down team fights.
Yeah, it's interesting. He's doing Roa cooldown boots Ludens. I don't think that's Lich Bane next. I think it's most likely to be Ludens Echo. So yeah, found a way to put CDR into the build after all. I know some Kassadins like to get that cooldown reduction to have a just ludicrous amount of rift walking all over the place. And if he can get the W for the mana restore, he can keep that jumping all around and be really scary. The Ludens burst should help him quite a bit. Otter has been lane swapped to the top lane here to try to fight up against Hanser. This 2v1 should be pretty easy for the enemy duo lane. But Move might be on his way up there to help. And Fizz from Keen has pushed very deeply through the bot lane.
Ooh, trying to keep up the split push with very little vision. He's only got that one ward he just placed himself. And playing with fire. Oh no, he placed 2.
Inox playing with ice though, taking a bit of damage, but now comes in towards Altec. The stun not quite going to land on the Gravity AD carry. That turret is so low in the mid lane.
Because he flashed it. Very quick reaction there from Altec.
Yeah.
So we're seeing Altec display some of his mechanical prowess that has been talked up. And they do come away with the defense, though. Enemy, at every turn, they've been trying to defend the Domino early taking of turrets for Gravity. And they've been able to slowly make their way to top now. They've been able to keep that tower standing for a little bit longer. It's fairly low, though. The conga line is stopped. Plenty of vision here from the Sightstone Nunu.
It's similar for NME Esports. That conga line top lane, Gravity was kind of there first, but spotted by a ward. Otter played safely enough. Gravity's new jungler Move, definitely doing a decent job of getting wards down to the map, but he's slowly but surely getting out-farmed here by Trashy. Yep. Level 8 versus 10 as time goes on. About to be 11 as Sejuani's going for her red buff on the top side. 3-level advantage for the jungler is definitely big.
Getting first to that level 11 is very big for Sejuani, so I think that is a good point. Having level 2 stun here for Trashy.
Yeah, adds a quarter second to it.
As of Gravity's squad, though, maybe we're seeing a little bit of the indecisiveness and inability to capitalize on the early momentum of knocking down outer turret after outer turret, rotating their Sivir effectively. Maybe due to a little bit of the lack of strong, decisive main shot caller.
I tend to agree. You've got a head Sivir and a head top lane split pusher, and the mid laner has no wave clear, and you're not getting through it.
And they sort of made this attempt mid. They moved the Sivir over to mid, try and punish the Kassadin, try and knock it down, but they sort of split objectives, and they had Nunu go for an invade with Thresh at the same time, and Sivir could not complete the shove mid. So they kind of grasped at too many things. Maybe it's a side effect of everybody adding information now that they don't have the main single shot caller. Everybody trying to help, and they sort of split themselves in 2 different directions, not really able to accomplish either goal. However, the mid turret extremely low since they keep coming back to it and taking chips out of it.
And we'll see.
It's so
low.
All right. Alta could actually just walk over there.
Even Move could take it down. Just whoever wants to actually attack that thing twice is going to be killed.
They do have the double Cinder Hulk stacking for them.
I mean, this team is going to get very tanky. And Otter, I should have Rune King. Fight that guy.
He does have a buddy with him as well.
Yeah, come on, dude. You don't make highlight reels not going for 1v1s.
All right.
Gravity invading, though, quite nicely. A couple of wards into the jungle. Trashy forced to give them a fair bit of room. And Gravity have set up Keen's split push area quite well. For how bad that Fizz Kassadin matchup was, Keen's doing a whole lot better now facing Flares, right? Flares had itemized a whole lot of armor early on. He got the Seeker's arm guard actually before Boots to deal with the Hecarim matchup, and they put Fizz against him, and suddenly it's useless. And now he's got to buy a Null Magic Mantle to try to keep him in this matchup, and Flares getting pushed around.
Good spell there from Altec. Sivir able to wave clear really easily. NME, they're the ones with the lack of pushing potential, since they have Vayne and a bunch of melees. But yeah, the Fizz as well, especially after the nerfs and the sort of rework to Fizz, I don't feel like he scales nearly as well as Kassadin.
Yeah. But it looks like enough of the other guys are scaling up as well. You said Hecarim is a slow starter, but really good late game. He's doing fine. Sivir against a short-range line is going to land a lot of ricochet damage. Mid lane turret finally goes down, and Gravity have knocked down that outer ring. NME Esports' only objective grab has been the one dragon they fought over. Gravity now sitting on a lead with some eventually good lane pushing.
Wonder if we will ever see Gravity go with the split push to try and get some more pressure. They finally got that mid turret down, so it really does open up the map for them. Try and get some of those wards in the jungle to catch enemy in rotation and pull them across the map. Try and use that Fizz and the Hecarim while they can. All outer turrets down. Looking gonna make, and that's pretty much where all the gold advantage comes from too.
Yeah.
I mean, once enemies start knocking down turrets, if enemy wins the team fight, they will be able to claim quite a lot.
Yeah, exactly, they can. But speaking of claiming, they're going for Dragon right away, and it was just off the recall of Move as well as Bunny Fufu, and even Keen had recalled not long ago. He just made his way back now, but Dragon started. NME Esports still around in this one. Rumble has teleport, as does Hecarim. Otter is here, though. Enough members. Looks like they will take down Dragon with no contest. Early smite for Trashy. Gold goes to Otter. 2 Dragons for one side, 3 turrets to the other.
So we do get a look at a Fizz versus Vayne side lane split push. Both of them are bringing
I'm going to say Fizz wins that.
backup, though. Wards for both squads as well, so nobody going to take the bait.
Otto's not even running full magic resist glyphs here. He's only at 37. This is...
A little bit of mana regen in there.
Usually you see attack speed. I guess a lot of people do run mana regen blues. I never understood that on AD carries, but...
Maybe not for Vayne either.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen that on Vayne is the weird thing. So, I don't know. I guess we'd have to look at the page afterwards. But yeah, he's only running about 5 magic resist glyphs. Out goes Sejuani. Again, Gravity trying to control this eastern jungle, the one that Keen is pushing around. It seems like that's where most of this effort is being placed for Gravity, is setting up a playground for Keen to just keep scaling up and doing good things on this Fizz.
Yeah. It really does feel like this game is going to come down to the big team fight.
Yeah.
When they do clash over the objective, because we already talked over, Enemy, this is their first time. They're so excited to be in the LCS. First game on the stage. Gonna be a little hesitant to commit to early risky strategies. So fairly safe and controlled for them so far. And on the other side, Gravity losing a main shot caller. Not quite fully committing to the mid-game plan either. So both teams kind of waiting around for that big team fight for it to really explode.
Well, we've had a couple of fights before, and they've gone back and forth. Looks like NME Esports have largely made Gravity play around them. It's just been Gravity's advantage playing the split push game. They've just done a little bit of a better job of it. Defensive items now coming in for Hanser, so no Triforce, just this full tank Hecarim with challenging smite.
Whew, yeah, they are really going to count on Altec for the DPS in the late game.
Well, starts to make a little bit more sense after all.
Yeah, Keen's going to do his best. He has added another AP scaling ratio to his kit, so that helps your late game damage a bit, adding the scaling of the Lich Bane, but still going to have a hard time keeping up with the damage output from enemy in the late game. And it looks like they are making a move, decisive move here from enemy. Down bottom, they want to try and get some global gold. Remember, there are teleports up from both of these top laners.
And a lot of space given by NME Esports. They're just so afraid of Keen doing something, even though he can't even clear the caster wave. They deny the CS.
Oh, they cancel. Inox going to run straight back due to the shove here from Sivir Nunu. You can't keep up with that shove, though. Kassadin doesn't even bring that much wave clear.
Mid's taking a lot of damage, but in comes Flares. He wants to flank this one, but takes so much damage. He does not have Zhonya's. The Abyssal Scepter doesn't help him survive Altsec. A 1-for-1 as Inox comes in. Now Move in the fray, taking up this Kassadin quite easily. Eats the minion, gets slowed back down. Hanser now in the mix as well. But out they go. 1-for-1, top laner dead, AD carry dead.
And summoners for both. Both of them burning Flash. Altsec even the heal as well. So the 1-for-1.
The Inox burned all of his, so... as did Bunny Fufu. A lot of summoners used there, but now mid lane being pressured without the AD carry, without really the only wave clear team, or wave clear tool on the team. But Gravity still given the room to clear it. Both these teams, as you were mentioning before, I feel like a little bit overly patient.
First game on the big stage here.
Yep.
And it's such a close game. It's hard to make that call for the full all-in commitment to a team fight. If you do lose a team fight completely, then as we said, a bunch of outer turrets are going to go down. It's going to be a huge gold swing.
Yep.
That one mistake is going to be really hard to come back from. So nobody wants to be the first to make that mistake.
Yeah, I mean, keep in mind, this is the first professional game for, I believe, 4 of the players in this game. Moves first on a top-tier league, and everyone but Flares and Inox first-timers for NME Esports. To my knowledge, if I don't have someone backwards here.
We do have some pretty good item breakpoints that might spur enemy into a decision, though, because they've got, the fully stocked route, the Luden's Echo already on Inox. Inox, very, very powerful, and his whole idea is to go take out Sivir. If he takes out Sivir, then the Gravity team will collapse, because enemy have plenty of more damage sources. Gravity do not. So that plus the Quicksilver on Otter should allow him to survive and be that secondary damage source.
Whether he removes Challenging Smite from Hanser or the Fish from Keen, or hopefully both for his sake, this Vayne likely to be slippery enough to do a pretty good job in these fights. Not a lot of peel for him. It's like Nautilus and Sojani can try, although they typically CC more offensively.
Yeah. I like the chaos that combo does create. If Sejuani and Rumble can land a combo, that's a huge, huge area of the battlefield that Vayne can just tumble around in.
Yeah. Definitely works well as cleanup. We've seen Najin who ran Cat and Vayne for cleanup.
Sivir move up top. Sivir ult for a rotation.
Wow, they're going to really catch flares. This one has no CC for the new ulti. There's going to be the kill picked up, and it will go to Altec, 2-1-1.
Bottom turret down.
Yeah, okay, split push. Otter, man after my own heart, split pushing on Vayne all game long, 306 CS. I mean, a very, very large champion. Inox pushing down the mid lane well, also in Gravity. Risking a Baron attempt right here in the face of some wards. Vayne cannot join this fight. It's a 3v5. Trashy's got a stun. There is no rumble. Here comes Inox. A lot of damage. Bunny Poop with the first casualty, but in comes the re-engage. A bit of a stun to buy some time. Trashy goes down to Keen. Body drop forced to run. Otter has joined in. Move forced to flash away from Baron. Body drop goes down. Inox gets a kill, but it's going to get traded back on. But the Vayne cleanup is here. What can he actually kill? Goes for Hanser. Takes a lot of damage. TP comes in. 2 more hits will kill him. There's flares. There's the slowdown. There's the kill on the Keen. That is an ace for NME Esports.
All right. I wanted to see the screen just over Baron there, because Move stayed in on Baron so long. It must have been at like 1500 or something, because that was a really, really split team for Gravity. Yeah. We mentioned how having a decisive... Okay, let's see if we can get that health in there. Okay, they're committed to it. It's at 3,000, 2.5. And they're splitting DPS off of it. Move wants to finish. 2,000, barely out of Smite consume combo range.
Ouch.
But Altec is focused on killing the champions, and Move basically goes down only to Baron. They also pretty much tunnel vision on the target that they're calling for, so allow Vayne to come in through the back and take out Altec. Whew. After all that, only the one outer turret bottom really went down for that.
That's true. That already happened before. I guess the mid turret. That drops. So now we're at a 1,000 gold game. These two teams very evenly matched, playing the laning phases for the most part. Dragon number 3 on the table. NME Esports do have all their ultimates except for body drops.
Hecarim with the teleport.
Massive stun. In comes the flank. Otter is safe. This one, Inox nearly going down. Keen buying time with the Zonias, forcing Inox away. But in goes Hanser, trying to take him down. Trade kills back and forth. Inox over the wall, still getting away from this one, but Move is alive as well, and Body Drop gets killed. Otter now alone versus 4. Great cleanup here for Gravity. Inox, does he want part of this one? He's going to go for Altec, but the spell shield was there. And it's a kill onto Inox for nothing. Great by Altec to heal and spell shield to stay alive in this one.
All right, that should be Baron, because if Otter actually is able to pull off the 1v4 single man hero Baron stop, then he deserves a medal. All right, yeah, it is going to be the Baron here. Hanser should be able to take it up. Don't let Move die to it again, and Gravity should claim spoils of the victory there.
All right, all is well for the Gravity lineup. 1,000 gold lead after the team fight. Move is really nearly dead. All right. Move's worst enemy is Baron. The minions fight back against Nunu. There's still a Baron picked up.
Yeah, let's take another look at the team fight, because everybody gets split up here. Boom, there's the 2-man combo and a beautiful Rumble ultimate on top. Altec has to run out of it. He's able to freely fire here from the back, but the key point is the home guard teleport comes in from Hanser, so Inox is pretty much out of it, and Altec, nobody's able to focus Altec from the backside. The blood-boiled Sivir on the backside, so much AoE that kind of goes unnoticed. And there's the spell shield as soon as he sees the flash. Altec pretty quick reactions all game long with Sivir.
So many narrow escapes as well by Gravity in that fight. Altec cutting back, gets into a brush to drop aggro, move, getting away constantly with barely any health left on him. It took Baron to take him down.
The brush channeled Nunu ultimate, always fun to pull off.
Players in combat with Hanser. Inox helping quite a bit as well. Again, this is full tank Hecarim though, so he just doesn't die very fast to this Kassadin, who's now basically out of mana. And good luck hitting W on a minion wave when you have the threat of Sivir and everyone else the entire time. Still no regen for him, as slow onto Otter. He's forced to pop the ulti to get away, which means absolutely nothing for this Vayne. No good hooks landing, and Gravity still sieging well.
Trying to make the most of this Baron buff here. Protect the cannon minion as long as they can to get a little bit of extra damage on that inhibitor turret. Swing up for that global gold. Really the whole point of this Baron buff is try and increase your gold lead so that they can regain control of the dragon area before that comes up.
We'll see if they can keep this area controlled. Looks like top lane turret is the target of choice for Gravity. Blue Elixir picked up for Flares. If he's like me, he'll forget to use it for the team fight. Hopefully he's better than that.
Remember,
he's not doing much.
Keep your eyes all focused on Altec. Altec is the bride here. Everybody's going to try and drop ultimates on top of him. If they get Nautilus, Sejuani, Rumble coordinating, and Altec goes down, enemy can still pull this off, even with the Baron buff here for Gravity.
Well, it's only going to last about 30 more seconds, this Baron buff. Blue Elixir chugged by Flares. He won't forget this time. But this is pretty much the last wave that's going to have Baron buff here. Bunny Poo popping the early ulti to try to kite away. He's afraid of this fight. It looks like enemy wants in. They pop the ultis on all sides, move. Forced to flash away. Equalizer is great on the back lines. Flare stays alive. And in comes the dive. Butter Drop buys time, but not enough as Otter drops. Inox now the only man left to deal damage, but it's just clean up here. Gravity gets all the way through, and they're going to clean up these last two guys. A triple kill for Altec in his first game on the team. They can take more off this.
That's exactly what Gravity wanted. Move the single man to take the Sejuani ultimate. Altec easily able to kite out and auto attack. He even uses his flash forward over the wall to clean up after all of enemy's CC has been used. So easy move inside to the inhibitor here for Gravity.
And even Keen, oh God.
All right, that was a little overzealous.
Inox has one picked up, finally a revenge kill, but it's still 4 men alive inside the base. Inox does not have any great targets here. It would be pretty difficult to knock down Move and Bunny Fufu. There's some wards around, but they see Inox. I think he's going to get nothing for this. No neutrals up to take. There's a good wave in the bot lane. It will be teleported. No, sorry, the top lane teleport for Flares. He wants to knock something down. Equalizer's up soon. Flares could slow a lot of them down. Knocks down Bunny Fufu or tries for it, forces the flash away. Equalizer up in 3 seconds. Now. Pops it, buys a bit of time. Bunny has nowhere to go until now.
He's fine.
And out he goes. Aww.
Block himself there with the lantern.
But this buys time for enemy esports to knock down a couple turrets on the backside. Keen is still dead. Bunny has to heal. Otter was sent top lane. There's going to be a 4v4 in this mid lane as soon as Keen respawns. And the team will head top side.
Delay backs long enough, and they might be able to grab 2 turrets off of the back of that lost team fight inside the base.
However, keep in mind, Rumble Equalizer is down for any impending fights here. So if enemy esports gets caught out, they're missing a key member.
They might have to defend really quickly here. Nunu, never mind. Sivir's not with him. They don't care.
Yeah, just Hecarim slip pushing bottom lane to keep that wave pushed up. Good allocation of resources. Gravity know to sacrifice those 2 turrets. Get the rest of the map back under control.
So let's take a look at the initiation, because everything from Thresh is down, so that's great. However, they use the Nautilus ultimate on the full tank Hecarim and the Sejuani ultimate on the Nunu. Look at Altec in the backside. He easily free firing the entire time. Fizz on the front lines. Pretty much no damage left for him either. And the tanks on Gravity are able to absorb the brunt of the initiation from enemy, freeing up their 2 damage sources to just go wild.
Yeah, so while Altec gets the spell shield, what Butter Drop tries to do, Keen and Hanser just destroyed poor Otter. Righteous Glory pop, they don't quite catch on the move. Ult comes in, hits, not for a stun on a Bunny Fufu. as they limp away, and now the re-engage might happen. No Glacial Prison. In comes the fish. Thankfully for NME Esports, it misses. Equalizer in the choke point. Keen a bit overextended. Will they get much more off this one? Pops the Zonias, and into the back line they go one more time, but the stun's going to land. Otter is safe against Hanser, and a bunch of damage to the front lines. They're going to trade tanks in the front line. Altec out a really bad spot. Gets taken out. Otter is still alive. He catches move. A double kill for the Kassadin. That is an ace for 2 for NME Esports. Where do they go?
Woo! Gravity funnel in through the ramp. And Enemy finally able to get their hands on Altec. He had burned his Flash offensively in the earlier team fight. He had no more mobility. His Sivir ultimate ran out because they used it to get in range and get the fight in the first place. Whew. And we see what happens when the AD carry goes down in your Nunu team.
All right, yeah, lots of damage missing suddenly from the lineup. So quick pause coming through on this one. Looks like it's with Keen. We'll see what that ends up being as time moves on. We got QA on the scene to figure out what's going on here with these guys.
All right, so while we are waiting, how about we pull up a replay of the last fight? Because that's more interesting than QA.
I mean, but the guy's got a cool lip ring and stuff. The cat call from the audience. Great, thank you guys. Yeah, okay, we'll get the replay up as soon as we can, of course, in this one. As a recap of what happened to that fight, it's a 3,000 gold lead afterwards.
All right, so Sivir ultimate channeling. The ultimate as well from Keen misses at the very beginning. That equalizer down the ramp stalls for so long. Sort of a half commitment from Gravity gets the Zonias out from Keen really early. And then Otter easily able to take out Hanser here with the true percentage damage, and Altec finds himself suddenly right in Otter's face. They collapse on Altec, and there's nothing left there for Gravity.
Yeah, in order to dive AD carries properly, unless you're playing Zed or Talon, you need 2 people to kill off an AD carry with shields in the back line. You've got a Face of the Mountain on Body Drop. You've got a Locket on Trashing, and you've got a QSS here on Otter, which means you can't kill him with full tank Hecarim by yourself. That just doesn't happen. Like, in a 1v1 on an open field, Vayne would still win that fight. So the fact that Keen went in by himself, that Equalizer did buy so much time, that really, really helped Otter survive in the fight. And even still, he ended that battle at 1/3 health. I mean, you saw how close it ended up being. But 6-1 and 5 on Vayne. Otter has tried so many times to qualify for the LCS, and here he is, second highest gold in the game. 11 KDA, I imagine, has got to be the highest in the game as well. In fact, it is. As I look over it, everyone has more than 1 death here. What a great start of a performance for him as well. First game, gets to last pick his AD carry after seeing the comp. Goes for Vayne. High risk, but very high reward here. I got to sing the praises for the rookies here overall, starting quite nicely.
And it is going to be a very bloody game.
Yeah.
The rest of it as well. Pretty much as we expected, all coming down to these team fights. AD carry positioning becomes paramount.
Yes. And then the ability to reach them becomes even bigger. And in terms of reach, like, I guess you can spell shield some of it on the Sivir side, but you've got Rumble, Kassadin, and then like a little bit of Nautilus and Sejuani can sometimes reach, but Rumble Kassadin isn't enough to one-shot an AD carry. You have pretty mediocre amounts of magic resist on Altec.
Yeah, he does have the Quicksilver, and that's it.
Yeah, he's got 72 when he's sitting near someone defending him. So he's got, a decent amount, but still, as soon as Void Staffs and Flat Magic Pen come through, you can definitely evaporate Sivir. And we've seen in team fights, you can definitely evaporate Otter. The shields aren't enough if 2 people come in, and it's rather easy for Fizz and Hecarim to reach. So those guys being gone, it sometimes comes down to who's got cleanup or who does survive that.
Yeah. Hanser now on the Hecarim does finally have the 4 main items completed for his Cinder Hulk Hecarim as well. So that guy can sustain himself actually very well in the team fights.
Yeah.
So he's become definitely a big damage threat.
Yeah, Triforce then helps him a lot. Keen nods to the ref, says, all right, I'm okay, takes a sip of his drink, water or coffee, whatever his poison ends up being, and we'll be getting ourselves back into the game very shortly here. As we get ourselves back in, Dragon's up in 7 seconds, Baron's up in 44, and all of Gravity respawns in between 32 and 37 seconds. So there's a very small window that theoretically Enemy could recall, rush down Baron, and then be met by Gravity right as Baron dies.
All right, so it looks like we have everything cleared up. The problem was Keen suspected a bug with Fizz where he thought his E didn't do any damage to Rumble. However, Rumble had just popped the shield. They went back and checked it. that was just Rumble turning on his scrap shield.
Yeah,
and
with an Abyssal and 200 AP, it's going to be a
Exactly.
good amount of damage blocked. All right, so it's good that he calls it out. I'm actually got to give some props to Keen for even like noticing it in a hectic team fight. He was like, hey, hold on. It's the right choice. I mean, I'll take the positive. It means you're sure that the game worked the way you wanted it to. All is well, and on our screens, we are back into the game. 25 seconds on the respawn. Enemy Esports say we want to go down mid lane. They are, I think, certain to get an inhibitor for this. Inuk will tank the turret as they wait for the mini wave to come on in. And there they go. Inhib will go down. 12 seconds on the respawn. The Dragon is up, but Baron's up not too far after that.
I like how they immediately leave the scene. They don't even want to take the chance of going for those Nexus turrets. Those Nexus turrets, they're not worth very much unless you're going to end the game now. With the last couple of round of patches, taking a lot of the experience and gold out of those objectives that are inside the base. So definitely not worth the risk at this stage in the game, getting caught inside the enemy base, pulling out, grabbing the Dragon, and then trying to get position on Baron. Much more important. Gravity going to rush over there very quickly. They've got the pink ward dropped. Will they just start it up? Flares coming from base.
Everyone was on the right page, though they sent only Vayne to take down Dragon. She has joined this spot of the map in time. Rumble's not there just yet, and it's going down quickly. Down under half HP.
Pull
but
off.
The rest of enemy are here. Yeah, you can't just sit in the pit against Rumble Cassidy and expect to win that one. Body drop is at half. He was helping clear away that top lane wave when he had to come down. And the dead inhibitor.
They're sending.
They can't send Vayne.
Yeah, they can't send
They can
Otter.
send at
All right.
most Inox. He's the most.
Flares went back, but he doesn't have teleport. Sort of counting on the fact that Gravity don't know the teleport timer.
Yeah, okay, that is the right choice. Slight mind games. Also, he's got good AoE. It looks like that's all fine. Otter cuts the wave. Yeah, flares was the one used. Yeah, if we missed that. That's what we meant to say.
Now it's the battle over positioning. The wards around Baron.
There are some very scary champions around this map. Monster does have teleport. He clears the mid lane away. Both teams, of course, with one killed inhibitor. Though enemies was killed more recently, meaning they will eventually hold the map control. And also keep in mind, enemies sitting on 4 dragons right now, actually. Throughout the course of this game, they've managed to always eke that objective. Meaning 5 minutes from now, enemy have a potentially game-winning objective in their hands.
I feel like Baron is already that point of power as well. The thing is, Dragon's much less of a risk to take. So once it does come back up, enemy will have a much easier time pulling Gravity into an advantageous fight.
Big wave bot lane. It's going to slowly build up and push in. Hanser, of course, still has that teleport, though, so it could be trivial for Gravity to turn that one back around. Gravity, you'll keep in mind, sitting on 2 smites and a Nunu, so securing objectives should be fairly easy. Some poke on to move, though. Down to half. Sivir ulti popped. Otter trying to run away. And in comes Hanser to buy some time. Careful, everybody. 1/3 health loss on him. Move still walking forward. And here's the engage. They're going to catch up to Flares. Pops the equalizer. Turns back around. And there's the golden flame spitter. Move nearly dead. Hanser dropped low as well. Who's going to be the first kill? It is going to be Move. Flares forced to run. The hook on Otter. In comes Buddy Fufu, but there's no follow-up. Hanser takes one down. Kills on both sides. The ulti going to chase on down. It's 4 kills to 2. An advantage of enemy esports. Only Alltech alive.
Is that game 40 plus 50 seconds here on the respawn timers, and Alltech would have to pull. Ah, he's toast.
Oh, the hook's gonna miss. Trashy can't quite catch him with anything else. The W reactive not gonna do it either, but Otter almost in range. That's the crit. That's the kill. Super minions in the base. This could be the game.
Ooh, it did all come down to the single team fight there. Woo. And congratulations to Enemy. They're able to win their first game, 100% win rate for Enemy in the North American LCS.
And at the very end of it all, they sit only about 300 gold up. That'll tell you just how close this game was. 42 minutes and 40 seconds. Otter with a 16 KDA on Vayne. Congratulations, Enemy Esports.
Woo. Yeah, what a nerve-wracking game when it's so even the entire time, and it just comes down to team fight positioning and mechanics.
All right, so far, you know, Aiden said it at the very start of the day. He says, I think Enemy Esports is a top 5 NALCS team. Well, Gravity finished 5th, 6th last time around in the North American LCS Spring Playoffs. by beating them. You're saying, all right, this looks about like the right place for NME Esports to be if that prediction is true. Now, of course, Gravity are still adapting to their new players. Saint Vicious and Cop are out. Move and Altec are in, and while they played pretty well individually, you were talking about it, shot calling still is something that Gravity has to learn to do better.
Yeah, I feel like they'll get more comfortable with pushing harder on those mid-game windows that they have, and be more confident to follow one route. When you spread out and try and grab too many things, sometimes you get nothing.
Water through your fingers. Sometimes you put them all together, and you at least get to hold some in the palm of your hand, but slipped away. 1 kill difference at the end of it all. 1 turret difference at the end of it all as well. Enemy had even lost an inhibitor. I mean, a very close game between these teams. If we were to watch them face off a lot more, a best of 5 would probably go 3-2. This one did end up in enemy's hands, though, and now as they discuss their trials and tribulations of the day, of course, they'll be facing off against another NA LCS team tomorrow, as will Gravity, of course. We're only into day 1 of the first week of the North American LCS, and I think both these teams have a lot more to show tomorrow.
I'm going to say all the North American LCS teams have a lot more to show.
Nope. I'm going to say at least one team picks the exact same 5 champions.
All right.
I'm wrong. Don't quote me on that.
I hope it's Impulse. That was pretty fun to watch.
It was a good comp. I want to see that one again. It worked pretty well. At least Impulse looked the same. So, you know, they didn't really show us too much different, I guess.
I mean, I'm all aboard the Bomby Cinder top lane instead of a Giant's Belt.
All right.
On Yasuo. That looked great. Sacrificing 80 health for the passive burn?
Yeah.
Sounds like a great deal.
Good 8-week clear for some minions.
Impact's a great salesman.
All right, well, great. Impact going to sell some items over to Kobe here. I'm going to stick with my conventional builds, then eventually catch up with the times as I realize it's actually the correct way to go about it. Either way, NME Esports going to be one of the 5 teams ending the week 1-0. Inox played about the way we expected to him. Pretty hard carry casted performance. Otter also stepping up very well. So it's good to see those 2 carries starting off quite nicely. But for now, we're going to hand it off to Jat, who's down on the red side.
Thanks, Freak. And yes, I am with Inox, the Kassadin from that last game. First game in the LCS, first victory. Are you relieved, excited? What's your emotion like after this game?
Really relieved. We didn't know what to expect coming into this because we actually haven't played with Trashy for about 2 weeks. He's been doing his visa. So we came to this not having any practice at all with him. We had a jungle sub, and things were looking really shaky with our jungle sub. But once Jonas got back, everything just kind of fell into place, and luckily we were able to get the win today and pull off what we wanted.
You say no practice. I mean, did you get a single scrim with Trashy when he came back? Did you play to date? Nothing at all. Nothing. So what was the synergy like not playing with them for 2 or 3 weeks when you go right into an LCS game? Was it a strange start or anything?
In the LCS game, it felt pretty normal. Like we played together the whole challenger scene. We had that good synergy. But then this morning it was pretty rough. We lost 2 games of solo queue to body drop when we were duo queuing. So he beat me with Echo.
Wow, Echo, who can blame you? But honestly, you've been in the LCS before on Evil Geniuses. This time much different role, different team. What was it like picking Kassadin now, getting to play your champion in the LCS?
It feels like it's just what I should have been doing from the start. I always wanted to play mid lane, and I actually started off playing top lane, just filling for teams, and then my filling for teams went on and on and on, and then it's like, oh wait, you're filling for this team for top lane that you kind of stuck with it, and now EG wants you top lane, but you're still kind of like filling it. All right.
Yeah. Well, now, 1 victory today. To go 2-0 on the week, you have to defeat TSM. Any previews or thoughts heading into that match you guys have tomorrow?
I think winning today is definitely a good confidence boost. Maybe we can just win just off of, what's the word? I'm losing. Yeah, Camp Darius. Maybe. Well, I mean, we did get a win today. They did get a loss today. Maybe this just says things for tomorrow. Maybe we can go in and just roll through, be like, yeah, we won yesterday, and this stage stuff is easy. But then TSM, whenever I watch them play against the bottom tier teams, I mean, technically we're a bottom tier team right now, they play a lot more comfortable and just on point. They don't really make those mistakes that they kind of do at other times. Not that they make many mistakes. They're a really good team.
All right, well, best of luck tomorrow. Congratulations again on the win today. Nice start in the LCS, by the way, for the new team. Thanks a lot, Inox, and let's send it back to the guys at the desk.
Thank you, Jet. And to Inox, you're not a bottom tier team. You're number 1 now.
Number 1, baby.
With that win, they move up into the top half of the standings there. You know, a quick breakdown of that game, the things I want to look at are kind of twofold, right? So on the side of Gravity, I would have to say they had the better macro play, the rotational play, whereas NME looked like they were a little bit slower around the map this time around.
Yeah, they were giving up a lot of turrets. Gravity was doing a really good job of controlling the jungle. And if you watch that game back and just check jungle vision, despite having 2 sight stones, Trashy was not getting adequate vision down past the river to see the moves of Gravity before they happened. It's like 5 people are top, and it's like, wait a second, how are there 5 people top? They kill flares, and then they get a turret, and Otter's like, well, I guess I have to go bottom. And then it's like, they're doing Baron now, and they have to pull people all the way from bottom lane there. So they're just being moved around the map in a very inefficient way. So
yeah, it was lethargic. It was inefficient.
Enemies seemed pretty lazy to objectives. They did get every dragon, though. That's the other thing, is they kept winning team fights near dragon and getting it with just solo Otter every now and then. So that was kind of like the plus side for them, is these dragons were falling into their lap off of team fights.
Right, so some of that could probably be attributed to the fact that they hadn't been playing with Trashy for a few weeks, so the vision control and the communication around the vision wasn't quite there.
Yeah.
Someone else who I didn't think had a fantastic showing was Flares. Seemed to struggle in that 1v1 up against Hecarim in the top lane. However, now I move to the people who did show up and play very well. Inox in the mid lane, 4-1 very early on that Cassin, making a statement with the 11-minute Roa on the Cassin, as well as Otter on the Vayne, saying, look at me, I can play Vayne and, you know, carry through in the late game. I mean, with Fizz diving in on you every single time, quick with the Quicksilver Sash and the heals to, you know, to live through the initial burst and then roll through the rest of the team.
Yeah, and this team, when I watch them in Challenger, every lane has carry potential. Sometimes Flares carry, sometimes Inox. Trashy has jungle games where he'll just go off on Rek'Sai. And Otter was the one who didn't carry as frequently, so it's good to see a carry game from him to really kind of just nail that home, that this is a team that has multiple threats. And despite having a Hecarim and a Fizz going after him, they didn't always seem on the same page on the side of Gravity. They were always like, let's protect Altec. Altec will deal the damage. And instead of having Fizz, the Nunu trying to slow the attack speed of the Vayne, as well as getting the Hecarim and Fizz into that backline, you saw some fights where it was like, only Hecarim went. And then it's like, all right, final hour, time to get my 60% crit off and tumble crit people for 700 damage over and over again. He like 2-shot, 3-shot Altec at one point with 2 crits.
Absolutely.
And just opened the game wide up. Those were the team fights they were winning, though.
Yeah, I do have to say, I think they were hindered a little bit by the fact that they had the Nunu that was never going to get to the Vayne. So in those late game team fights, it was between Fizz and Hecarim to get there. And then, as you said, sometimes just didn't sync up for that kill. Last thing about NME here is moving into tomorrow, they are facing up against TSM, as Jad said. That's going to be a real test for them. We saw TSM drop a game to C9 today, but I'm not sure that they're going to let that happen again. You know, TSM's going to come in out for blood this time around.
Yeah, the thing I'm going to look at when that matchup happens is jungle mid lane synergy. Trashy and Inox were really good in Challenger, and then Santorin and Bjergsen, the Great Danes, how are they going to go up against this duo? Because that's really the first really big test for Inox. How good of a mid laner is this guy? Because we saw him up against Keen. He was pretty convincing today, but I want to see him up against Bjergsen and what he can bring to the table. Trashy did not look up to form. He's usually a very aggressive jungler. He's usually a very good teamfight jungler. He was not hitting Sejuani ultimates today. And Santorin was also kind of having a wishy-washy day. So I want to see what happens when these teams clash.
All right, well, with that, we're one day into the summer split, and let's see how the teams are arranged in the standings. Right now, the league is split right down the middle between the haves and have-nots. Sharing first with 1 win apiece are Cloud9, CLG, NME Esports, Team Impulse, and Liquid. Now, the 5 teams that are looking to get on the board still are Gravity, Team 8, Team Dignitas, Team Dragon Knights, and TSM. So even though it is a small sample size, let's take a step back. Give me your thoughts on the LCS now as a whole after day 1. We've watched every team play once. Let's make wild inferences.
Cloud9's the greatest team
as to how good these teams actually are. I do have to say I was impressed by Cloud9 and their patience in the game. Incarnation showing a little bit of nerves on the land setting, missing a lot of uncontested CS. I mean, he was pressured a lot by Bjergsen, sure, but there was CS in there he should have been hitting that he wasn't. But the team as a whole showed a lot of composure and patience in getting him to the power spike and then playing the rest of the map correctly to get that win.
And if that's the only problem you're having is, oh, it's my first game on LAN and I'm missing some CS because I'm nervous and I got level 2 pressured. Bjergsen got Raptors for level 2 over me. I got a jungle gank and blew my flash early. Like, that is probably the best problem to have if you're going to to have a problem is I'm just a little nervous on lane. That comes with time, that comes with doing it more and more, and then eventually he's just going to be this guy who's very calm, collected, and can execute those aggressive plays that he wants to. So he seems very motivated, and I think Cloud9 definitely look really, really good with Incarnation. Like, they're just going to look better and better. His team fighting, his ultimates were really good. There were some hiccups, but that's about it.
Yeah.
And those are just coming in and being like, oh, they don't have a shot caller. Who's the shot caller? Meteos is. That's like, so far, that's like A+ for first day.
Yeah, on the flip side of that matchup, TSM, somewhat disappointing that they had such a fantastic lead. Bjergsen was, 80 CS up at one point, and they're not able to close that win out. I mean, this only adds to the pressure of having come out of MSI with a disappointing showing.
Yeah, and TSM, they need this win tomorrow over NME. They really just have to study up today, watch that game from NME, and they do have rotational play, which NME seem to fall behind on today, and they could exploit Trashy because they haven't played with him too much very lately. Like, it's just one of those things. I don't know if Trashy's like jet lagged or anything right now either, because he just seemed very sluggish, and they did not seem on top of their game. So I think that TSM, they definitely will need to pull out that victory tomorrow. I do want to see them, because Dyrus is once again first blood. Right? I want to see them put resources in that top lane. I want to see that top lane carry happen.
One day it will happen. Well, anyway, tomorrow we'll be back with another 5 games to kick off our first week of action, starting with Team Liquid squaring off against Team 8. After that, Team Dignitas will challenge Cloud9, and we'll conclude the day with Team Dragon Knights versus Gravity. That all gets underway starting at noon Pacific, 9 p.m. Central European Summertime. Now for myself, the casters, and the entire live broadcast crew, thank you for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow.
It feels like just yesterday we're here for the playoffs here between Cloud9 and TSM, and every time we start the split, same as old.
That Luden's hit coming out as well. They're going to wipe down Team Solo mid here. Bjergsen very low, can only do a few things from the outside. Cloud9 pick up the first win of the summer split. That's going to be 1, 2, 3, possibly a fourth here coming in, looking for the pentakill for Piglet. He's going to find Labman. Labman hops over the wall. Team Liquid takes down Team Dragon Knights for their first win.
Back at LCS, boys, the dream.
Hey, man.
This is like, hey, what's up, hello?
We can walk forward. I'm on Sedge. Back up, come back. Arrow Sedge. Come back. Wait, back up. 5 seconds on pull. 5 seconds on pull. Hecker's gonna home guard. Come pull.
CLG takes down Team Dignitas.
Not in a great way anymore. Impact putting out a whole bunch. The Gnar ulti is massive. Hits 2. Hops the wall. A triple kill for Solushi.
Did you know it's time for a true display of skill?
To the front line. Alton out a really bad spot. Gets taken out. Otter is still alive. He catches move. A double kill for the Kassadin. That is an ace. Congratulations, NME Esports.